I am at Roto of Westchester, the primary plumbing and drain service provider of Westchester County. Back in March, when COVID-19 was declared a pandemic, many businesses had to close their doors. However, there were certain businesses that were deemed essential, and these could stay open. Roto was one of these businesses. Today I'm here to get an idea of how Roto's business is 8 months after the coronavirus changed our way of life. But first, let's get an inside look at how things were before the COVID era begun.
Back in January, before COVID hit, business was okay. It wasn't as good as it was prior January. But as time went on and we went to February, we started to notice a decrease in business as COVID-related activities were starting to occur. The world was being notified of COVID back in February. There was a slowdown, obviously, in the economy, as well as this industry as well. We were very unsure of what was going to happen in our industry. We do have the luxury of being a service industry, so we were hoping that it would be that we would be able to sustain this. Back in March, we noticed business started to turn away. People were scared probably scared to do a lot of extra spending and so on. Our commercial business, January, February, March, and April, especially got hit tremendously as the states and the country was closed down. So was commercial spending, and it's because all the restaurants and all the offices were closed. So our commercial business got pretty badly beaten, unfortunately.
As the coronavirus ravaged through America in the spring months, putting people in hospitals and killing over 100,000 Americans from March through May, Roto's business also began to plummet. With COVID-19 being a virus spread so easily, Roto tried their best to keep employees safe, but ultimately fell victim to the virus.
When COVID first hit, we obviously had a lot of uncertainty. We kept pressing as an essential business. We kept going, and we pretty much stayed unscathed at the height of things, when it was March, April. And then around May, we had one guy contract COVID, and he was out for the 14 days, and then he came back, and that seemed to be the only impact we had. And then just recently in the month of August, another guy got it, and because of everyone he was in contact with, 4 other guys were required to quarantine. And so our whole department was basically down, and we had to do a lot of creative maneuvering to get the work going, because we still had to continue going. But then everybody came back, and we've been going ever since.
With the branch seeing an uptick in issues from the coronavirus, it was clear that they had to take steps with the hope that they could derail the deadly pandemic from destroying their business. Roto has enforced a mask policy in the office with signs like this one and the one located right behind me. They've also required that all plumbers and technicians wear a face mask when meeting with a client or customer. They've also supplied all employees with proper PPE such as face masks and gloves, including hand sanitizer. But what else has Roto done to ensure safety for all employees, customers, and clients alike?
When it comes to the safety of our customers due to the COVID pandemic, we are extremely careful. It all starts when we first get the call from the customer. We do ask if they have any symptoms, any COVID-related symptoms, and if they've been in contact with anybody who has COVID or has symptoms. After our customer service representative questions them on that, then we do make a decision if we should send our technician over to their home. So it all starts at the point of contact. So it's basically a zero contact service. After that, when we go to the customer's house, our service technician is always uses social distance also, but is also in full PPE, personal protective equipment. They are always in their masks. They will use Tyvek suits and gloves. They are they have sanitization, which they're always supplied with, and we do make sure after we use our workspace after they do their work that we disinfect the area that they were in and make sure that the area is clean to satisfaction of CDC guidelines. But we're extremely make sure that everybody, not only our employee, our customer, their home, are protected.
Like so many other businesses, Roto-Rooter clearly struggled in the early months of the pandemic, both business-wise and with the pandemic affecting workers' health. However, after a few months of struggles, Roto-Rooter began to see an unexpected change in their business.
With COVID going around, people are a lot more cautious and they're a lot more wanting to hire us to clean it professionally. So it's actually, we've experienced kind of an uptick in business as a result.
But then we started to see an anomaly. I do have to tell you that April was probably the worst month that this branch has ever had in the years it's been open. But then an anomaly happened. Something happened in February, in May, and we started to see a tremendous increase in residential spending. That can be, and most likely was, because people were home. They were, home flushing toilets or throwing things down the toilet on a more often basis than prior. Because nobody could leave their house. They're basically quarantining. So we started to see a tremendous amount of upside. So that was May. And then back in June, this branch had its biggest month in operating profit and in year over year that it's ever had. So as much as the economy has hit some kind of a slump, we were lucky enough that we did not have that too long. There was talk before this whole thing broke out, especially before June and May, of layoffs and having people work from home and staying home. But Roto-Rooter is a tremendous company, and our CO said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to weather the storm. And he made the right decision, because had we laid people off and lower our staffing and our employees, the company and our branch as well wouldn't have done as well as it has. The company's having a record year. Now, is it all based on COVID? We don't know. This is, like I said, this is an anomaly. We're not really sure. We can't, the company, and I was just looking at their earnings for this quarter, and the earnings were tremendous, record earnings, and their forward-looking statement says this is just a different type of world right now. We can't even give you our estimates or our forward-looking statements for the future. So with this branch alone right now, we are, fortunately, it's the best year that this branch has ever had. We've had 2 new records, and not only that, our customers are extremely happy, and we're doing very well.
When business for Roto-Rooter of Westchester shot up in May and June, continuing through the summer months, it shot up in a big way. Such a big way that instead of layoffs, the branch might actually be understaffed.
During the pandemic, fortunately for us, one of the things that we did was have to beef up our staffing. At a time when the unemployment rate was at the highest that it's ever been, we were one of the only companies that was able to open up hiring. The reason being, the pandemic had a lot of people that had to stay home to quarantine. There were a lot of businesses that were closed at this time. What that did was more usage on the plumbing systems, meaning there were more bathrooms being used, more sinks being used, a lot more of plumbing fixtures and things like that that are getting more usage. So I think that's one of the things that contributed to us actually having to be able to hire during a time when people were being laid off.
This Roto branch has shown that they can not only survive during the coronavirus period, but they can even flourish. Reporting from Roto of Westchester, I'm Frank Bartunik.